What's going on, everybody? John Eric Poli here with My MMA News, and today's guest is one of the youngest fighters on the UFC roster. Bright future ahead of today's guest, who returns at UFC Vegas 71, that fight date, April 22nd. Joined today by Brady Hiestand. Brady, it's nice to see you again, man. How you doing?
I know, a long time no talk. It's good to be back.
Yeah, man, I know we spoke after your last fight, and that was great catching up there. And now it's first fight of the year for 2023 for you here. So let's get into everything here. So between the tough experience, right, which you go all the way to the finals, your first UFC fight was in the Apex as well. This fight, Apex again. Is this Apex getting like home field advantage for you at this point?
I think so, yeah. Especially, yeah, like not only did I fight, in the finale and my first fight ever, and then this last fight, so that's three, but I also had two fights on the Ultimate Fighter, and those both were in the Apex. So I think this is going to be my sixth fight in the Apex. So I'm super familiar with it. I go down to Vegas and train with my buddy Mike Chiesa, so we go to the Apex often. Yeah, it's almost like a second home down there, so I'm excited. And it's only a 2-hour flight, so it makes it super easy traveling down there.
The big thing with the Apex, too, that kind of fighters go back and forth with is the whole thing, with the crowd. Is it better to have a crowd, not have a crowd? I know you're still at the younger point of your career. I'm sure you're used to fighting with lesser people in attendance. Does that bother you at all? There's not as big of a crowd in the Apex?
Like I said, I'm so used to it at this point. Even on, like, there's probably like 300 people there at the Apex. But I remember going to the Ultimate Fighter when they didn't let anyone in. So it was literally just Dana White and the coaches and production. And so that was weird because you walk out and it's dead silent, and all you see is Dana White and your teammates. So even now it's a little bit more crowded, but yeah, I'm used to it. I like it.
Well, it's good that you enjoy it, obviously, since you've had so many fights at the Apex. But I guess let's ask this question here now. Are you at some point looking to get on a card that has a crowd and kind of get that real life UFC experience of walking out with the, live crowd, big arena, all the lights, all the whole nine yards?
Oh yeah, for sure. I like I said, I'm used to the Apex, but I can't wait to get in front of a crowd. And after this fight, I'm looking for a second, third round finish, maybe even first if it comes. But I want to hop on the mic and do a call out, and I want to get right back in there and hopefully maybe fight on the Vancouver card or International Fight Week, something like that. I'm trying to make some noise and get back in there quick.
All right, man. Let's get into the stuff here then. Here we can talk more about that coming up. Training camp underway right now, kind of starting the, I guess you'd say putting the final touches on it, really. By the time this airs, you'll kind of be starting to pack things up, get ready for the trip out to Vegas and everything. So just how was your fight camp as you put those final touches on it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm just getting better and better at this. So this is my best fight camp yet, and I said that last time, I said the time before, but this is really the best fight camp I've ever had. The first 4 weeks of it, I went down to Vegas. Me and my whole team, my coach, a couple of my teammates, Mike Chiesa, Ashton Charlton. We went down to Vegas for a month. I got to train with some savages. I train with Merab almost every day. So leading up to this, huge, just being around that mentality and training with those guys was huge. It was a great experience. And then coming back, I have a great support system. I have my girlfriend that makes me good food. I got my mom that's always there for me. It's been good. It's been a good camp, good cut, and I'm ready to go out there and beat this dude up.
All right, so part of that answer you did get froze on the screen. So I'm just going to ask you just quickly about because it happened to be just the one guy that you were talking about too that I wanted to ask. You said
Yeah.
Merab that you got to train with a little bit there. What was that experience like of training with him?
Yeah, dude, he's the machine. They call him the machine for a reason because he just goes, goes, goes. I remember I remember one day I just got done with a training session and we were at the UFC PI and he was there. He's like, "Oh, you wanna go drill?" And this is we already trained together only a couple times. But he's like, "Oh, you want to go drill a little bit?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So we went over to the syndicate and we were drilling, or we weren't drilling. We got strapped up. I was like, "Oh, we got shin pads, MMA gloves." I was like, "Oh, we're probably gonna drill some wrestling and stuff." We literally started training light, and about 5 minutes in, we just started fighting. We just sparred for like 30 minutes straight. And so that was like my first real introduction to train with Merab, and he was just a beast. He didn't get tired. We just kept going. My coach actually ended up having to come over and stop us, but that was a crazy cool experience. And since that day, every time we were training on the mat, we would look at each other and we would drill with each other and stuff. So it was huge. It was seeing, what a high level, because if Aljamain wasn't champ, he'd be champ, I think. So pretty much training with a world champ was super cool. And I picked up a few tricks from him too.
Well, that's a good thing too that you got to train with him. Like you said, a lot of benefits from it because he's one hell of a fighter there, and we'll see. I'm sure he might even hold that championship one day because we don't know what's up with Aljamain after this fight with Henry Cejudo. But anyway, I want to ask about another guy that you train with. You mentioned him a few times throughout the interview so far, Michael Chiesa. Great guy. What's it been like to train with him and learn from him? Veteran of the sport. I'm sure he's been one great guy, not only to train with, but just to get advice from as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're from the same town, same coach, same team. So I'm training with him every week, every day. And just to have an example like that in the gym is huge, especially when I was going through the Ultimate Fighter. I asked him so many questions, and he gave me such good advice for that experience. And now, like, as I'm in the UFC and I'm starting my career, he's helping out a ton. But yeah, he's vital, especially now that he's doing commentary. He's so analytical, and he knows so much about all these fighters. Like, he knows more names of the 35ers than I do, and I'm like, damn, I'm slacking. So it's cool to have him around, and he comes to practice. As soon as we found out who I was fighting, he came to practice, had a whole list of shit to talk about. So it was cool.
Good stuff there, man. One other training thing for you before we move on to your opponent here. You posted on your Instagram account one of the training posts you had up. I think you wrote something along the lines like you have a chip on your shoulder. What's that about there? Is that just something that you usually feel around fight time, or is there something maybe that's bothering you? What was the message behind that post there?
I think it's just I always have it. I've always feel like I have something to prove. And for this fight, I think I'm the underdog, which is not unusual for me being so young, and I have I have half as many fights, and I'm 10 years younger than him, so I should be the underdog. But the fact that I am the underdog puts a chip on my shoulder because I got something to prove. More people think I'm gonna lose, which is great. Going through the Ultimate Fighter. When I got on, I was the youngest guy with the smallest record. No one thought I was going to win. I went in. My first fight was against a guy from my hometown who was 10 years older than me, 3 times as many fights, and people thought he was just going to wash me out, and I went in and won that fight. And then the next fight, fought the guy from Uriah Faber's gym with 3 times as many fights with me again, and he was 10 years older, and I went in and beat him in the first round. I was the underdog in the Ricky fight. They thought I was just going to lose, and I went in and I thought I won. So, I'm used to being the underdog, and, it just motivates me more to go out there and put on a show.
Well, it's great that you're motivated for this one, man. I'm sure you're going to have a great performance. Let's talk about the opponent now here a little bit. Just what have you seen out of your opponents so far as you've been scouting them, and kind of how do you see this fight playing out?
He has good experience. He has 6 fights in the UFC. Obviously, he's killer striker. He has heavy hands. He has 3 knockouts in the UFC, so he knows how to throw. I see it being a good fight. I think we're going to exchange on the feet. It'll probably go to the ground at some point, which I feel the most comfortable with, and I think I'm going to dominate there. But I see myself having a dominant fight. I think it's going to be a good first round, and then I'm going to finish him in either the second or third round.
Bold prediction there, man. We can't wait to see it. Let's talk goals for the year now here, since this is your first fight. Obviously, step one is to go out and get a win here on April 22nd. But what else what do you have in the cards for this year? Do you want to fight a certain number of times? Do you have any venues in mind that you want to fight at, anything like that? Or are you kind of just going to, play the year out however which way it takes you?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier with the crowd, I want a quick turnaround. And there's a fight coming up. My girl she's rematching Amanda Nunes in Vancouver. So, and that's close to my hometown. So it'd be nice to fight on that. Hop on the mic. I have a call out already in mind. I'm not going to say it now, but I'll say it after my fight. Call them out. Fight on the Vancouver card. My friend's family come out, and then hopefully fight another 2 times this year. So I'm trying to get 4 fights in by the end of the year. 4 fights, 4 victories, and 4 finishes.
So it sounds like it's going to be a busy 2023, that's for sure there. I do want to ask you, too, you just brought her name up, Julianna Peña. I know because Michael Chiesa and her are very close and the whole Washington State connection and everything. How well do you know Julianna? Do you guys ever, probably don't necessarily train together, but you guys in the gym at the same time and everything?
Oh yeah, we train together a bunch. We're all from the same gym, so we are all from Spokane. We're all from Sick Jitsu. We all have our head coach Rick Little, so I know we all train together, and I have trained with her a bunch, and she moved down to Chicago, and so when she was getting ready for camps, our coach would fly down there and train with her, and I would fly down with our coach. She's super nice. She's super welcoming. I would stay at her house. She let me use one of her rooms, and I would train with her guys down there. So yeah, she was a big influence on me. Oh, even like snuck in because she was in Vegas one time, and so she knew I was on the Ultimate Fighter, obviously, because we talk about it and stuff. And so once I was in, they took away my phone to all that stuff. And after the first round of fights, I didn't fight. I saw her in the crowd, and she snuck into the Apex and came and said what's up and gave me a hug and stuff. So that was a cool memory.
Yeah, man, that sounds really cool that you guys have that relationship. I figured you guys all were connected some way. I didn't realize you guys literally all in that same gym up there in Spokane. That's pretty cool there. I was just curious then too. I'll ask this question since you guys have that great relationship. Obviously, her fight has been announced, the trilogy with Amanda Nunes. Just what are your thoughts on that matchup here? Obviously, I know you're going with your friend and teammate there, but just give us the thoughts on the matchup and how you see Julianna getting it done.
Obviously, I might be a little biased, but yeah, I think Juliana's gonna win. But even if I don't look at it as as her friend or anything, and I try to take all biases away, they're 1-1, so tied. But in the first fight, Juliana finished Amanda Nunes. And the only reason that she lost in the second fight, or not the only reason, but a reason why she lost in the second fight is because Amanda came out fighting a completely different fight. It was almost like a surprise. Even the commentators like, oh, she switched her fighting stance. And so it was a complete like switch up that, changed her game plan. Obviously, you got to be ready for everything. But even with that and the surprise, she was doing really good. She dropped Juliana many times, but she never finished her. So, and who knows what would happen if that fight went unlimited rounds, Juliana could have still came back, and she was deadly in that fourth round, almost finishing with that armbar. So if you look at it, I think Juliana still has the upper hand. I think she got the finish. She had a competitive second match. Now she's going to go back out there and get another finish and show why she's better than Amanda Nunes.
Now, will you be in attendance for that fight? I know you said you want to get on the card, and they are starting to book for it now. If you're not able to, do you plan on being in attendance for that one?
I'll be there one way or another, so I'll be in Vancouver, Washington for that.
All right, man. Well, enjoy it. It'll be a lot of fun. I have to ask you another.
Either I'm on it or I'm there in the crowd there.
Oh, I'm sorry, you actually cut out there for a moment. I started speaking over you for a little bit. What was the ending to that answer there?
Oh, I was just saying that either way, I'm going to be there.
All right, man. It's going to be a fun one to watch, that's for sure. I can't wait for that fight as well there. I do want to ask you just before we wrap things up today, though, another sports-related question from being up in Washington State there. Do you follow any other sports besides MMA? Are you into all the like football or any of that stuff?
Not so much football. I'll follow Gonzaga a little bit, but that's about it, because our town's known for fighters and Gonzaga basketball. So I'll watch them once they get into like the Sweet 16 and stuff like that. But mostly I just watch MMA.
Okay, gotcha. I was just curious. I'm sure you can probably see behind me I have some Seattle Crack and stuff. My cousin is on the Seattle Crack, and actually, as soon as we wrap up today's interview tonight, I'm going to go head off and watch their game. They're playing Vegas in the season finale tonight. So if you think about it at all, if you're supporting anybody from Washington State, let's go Crack, and playoffs are coming up next week there. So anyway, man, I appreciate all the time as always. It's been great catching up with you here. Best of luck with the fight. Last thing before you head out, social media so people know where to follow you at. You have any management, sponsorships, anything like that you got to give a plug to? Floor is yours.
Yeah, so if you want to follow my journey, on Instagram, it's Brady_Bam Bam. On Twitter, it's Brady Hiestand 1. Yeah, huge shout out to my main sponsor, Eggers Meat. They're amazing. They they've been supporting me since I was young, 14. And shout out to Redeem Sports, the best management in the game.